Trainers often ask me for advice about taking their business mobile, how they can bring their fitness equipment and coaching expertise to clients over 50 in the clients' homes. And I thought it would be good to learn a little bit about this topic and share it with you. So on this episode of Optimal Aging, I'm talking with a trainer who has figured it out and is doing really well in Houston. And he's sharing all of his tips today. Benjamin Villalon has been training people at home for a while with Benefitnessnow. That's his fitness business. And just last year, he and his wife, Claudia, and their team of trainers began developing Agestrong Fitness for the over 50 market, training them at home. Benji reports that things are going great, and I couldn't be happier for them, especially since they're about to welcome their first baby next month. I met Claudia last year at the Functional Aging Summit in Los Angeles, and they've been PrimeFit content subscribers ever since. I love the messaging they share on their website, which I can't claim any credit for. It says, empowering active adults 50 plus to stay fit, strong, and independent. Specialized training for balance, strength, and mobility. That is so smart and obviously effective. It takes more than good training and smart marketing and the van to build a mobile training business anywhere, especially in sprawling Houston. I know you will enjoy learning how they've done it. Benji, hi, nice to see you. Thanks for coming today.
Hey, Jay, a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, absolutely. You've been a subscriber to PrimeFit content for a year or so now, and so it's nice to have you on to talk about your business. I really like some of the things that you're doing, and more than whether I like it is that I get asked about a lot about in-home training. And I know you've been doing that for a while, and you've recently switched to your focus to be primarily on this over 50 market. So I think we've got a lot of interesting stuff to cover today. If you don't mind, let's just start by giving me the Benji story and the Agestrong story about how we got here today.
So I guess just to start, a little bit about me. I've always just had a passion for fitness and movement. Early on, I knew I wanted to make a difference in people's lives through health and exercise. My background is in kinesiology. I studied a little bit with chiropractic medicine for about 1 to 2 years, eventually starting in gym settings, working with a variety of clients. Over time, I saw firsthand the limitations of one-size-fits-all exercise programs that, especially for older adults. So the turning point for me was just noticing that active adults over 50 weren't getting the personalized attention that they needed in big gyms. Many felt overwhelmed, uncomfortable, or just simply, they just weren't really getting the results. So that's kind of what led me to Agestrong Fitness, which is our training program specialized for active adults 50 plus. In-home training was created within Benefitnessnow. In a nutshell, kind of the journey and how we came about it.
Who is we?
My wife, my partner in crime. So I started my business about to go on 8 years now in about a month. And she kind of came into the picture and started kind of assisting and helping me. She's a trainer as well, I would say about 3 years ago. And now we're kind of going through a big life change as we're expecting our first.
Ah, congratulations.
In March, actually. So it's actually at the same time.
Wow.
That we're about to hit our 8th year in business. So a lot happening in a month from now. But
that's great.
Yeah.
Good for you. Tell her I said congratulations as well. I met her about a year ago at the Functional Aging Summit in Los Angeles. And
Yes.
I don't know if she'll remember meeting me or not, but tell her I said hello. So you mentioned Benefitnessnow. That's your business has been around for a few years now. And that was providing in-home training to sort of a general audience. Is that correct?
Right. I would say Benefitnessnow was our in-home personal training business where we were sort of delivering expert hands-on coaching into people's homes. I would say predominantly it was mostly busy parents, working professionals with young families who, as you know, and with that age group, 30s to 40s. People are still kind of building their career and couldn't really find the time for themselves. So that's kind of where we came in. And so that's what was started.
And you did that for a while. You had a good business with that.
Yeah, it was going really well. I mean, even during the pandemic with COVID, obviously we kind of had to pivot and shift gears a little bit. And so we started doing more online and remote live virtual training before eventually we were able to go back to people's homes. But during that whole time, we've had some great success over that. But yeah, the 50 plus community, I felt like, was often being misunderstood in the fitness world. And many people don't want to do like chair exercises or watered down workouts. They really want strength and mobility and to be able to enjoy everyday life.
So when did you make that switch? When did you and Claudia decide to focus on the over 50 market? Was there a specific moment? Did something happen, or was it more like a slow realization?
It was kind of a slow realization. I have always known that my passion was working with 50 plus adults. So it wasn't really completely like a huge like 180, but I think probably around a couple of months after we had came back from the Functional Aging Institute Summit, after Claudia had met with you, I didn't get the pleasure to meet with you, but she told me great things and just we had a lot of takeaways from that. And I think after that point, we were starting to get more confident with making that shift. So I would probably have to say, if I had to pick a time, it was probably around September, because the summit was during the summertime in July. So I think September was around the time when we were starting to kind of just shift our focus. And then we kind of came up with the name Agestrong Fitness to kind of make it more attractive to our audience.
Yeah, and I want to get into that branding and some of the messaging behind it. But before we get to that, so you realize some things about this business opportunity. And I think some people listening to this might be in the fitness industry or the health and well-being industries. And maybe they're thinking the same thing, like, gee, I keep hearing about this over 50 market. Maybe it's something to look into. So like I can rattle off a bunch of reasons why this is the market you should be focusing on. But I wonder if you could tell the folks what you learned maybe at that summit or during your research about the opportunity that made you think, hey, I've always liked this and I've always been passionate about it, but now it's really smart business. What were those things?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think the biggest lessons or the takeaways from what I learned is that with the 50 plus market is that, for one thing, their goals are very much realistic and sustainable. For instance, I have a client of mine who she's in her 60s and she still works, and her biggest fear is that she doesn't want to slow down. She likes to travel. Her big thing is skiing. And so we try to enhance that. We try to create more exercises that allows her to overcome, the inevitable, right? Aging is a part of life, but she wants to be able to continue to keep enjoying the things that she likes to enjoy. So I think there's a little bit of simplicity in that. Fitness doesn't have to be super complicated. You can implement it and make it functional to everyday movements that you do. I also would say that one thing I've learned is that the 50 plus population, they have a lot more time on their hands. And so they're also very health conscious at the same time. But I always kind of find that age group is sort of kind of like, they're starting to kind of listen to what people have been telling them. And,
Really?
Whether it's their own peers, their family members. And so oftentimes we'll even get their kids wanting this for their parents, to have someone come to their home, making sure that they're moving better, they're getting stronger. They want to kind of avoid some of the challenges that can happen as you get older. So those are some of the things that I guess I took away from that I found was very compelling. I can personally resonate with that because my grandparents were sort of my inspiration growing up. That's what kind of led me to my passion of working with active adults over 50. Because I saw how much they truly made an importance of staying healthy and fit. They were avid marathon runners, and I mean, they don't run anymore, but they're in their 80s. They're very much still healthy, but I can definitely tell that their bodies are starting to like catch up with them a little bit.
Sure.
but I've always admired the fact that they've always made it a priority to be a part of their grandkids' lives, sharing milestones, accomplishments. I remember seeing my grandfather. He was a scoutmaster for his son, and my dad was mine when I was going through scouts, and I was always involved in different extracurricular activities. So I thought that was so cool, and that he always kind of made it a part to do that.
Yeah. You mentioned that people over 50 have more time, and they tend to, but they also tend to have more money to spend.
True. Yeah.
A 25-year-old guy is looking for a cheap deal. He just wants, cheap membership to walk in the gym and do what he wants to do. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but the opportunity that a more mature person has who can spend several $100s a month on private in-home training, that's a whole other ball of wax, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, they definitely have the disposable income, and the fact that we not only offer training to active adults 50 plus, but we also come to their homes is kind of what sets us apart. Not only that, but it's a luxury that just unfortunately not everybody can afford. And so tailoring to that age, that market where really money's not really an issue, they're more of like, I need to do this. That it almost becomes like not a desperation, but the need is so much higher.
Yeah, you're offering a premium service and you charge premium rates for it, and there are people out there who are paying you for it. So it's a good model for all those fitness professionals out there who do everything they can to keep their prices so low so that they can help everybody. And that's fine if that's their business model and that's their mission, but there's also nothing wrong with, like I say, offering a premium service and charging a premium price for it, right?
Right.
Yeah. And I'd rather have customers who can pay what I'm asking, whatever it might be. I'm not suggesting that the ones with more money are always a better customer, or that you should build your business around only those people, but that is an advantage to this market, I think. So tell me how it works. I mentioned that I get asked about this sometimes, and I do. A trainer will ask me, hey, I want to start a business to train people in their homes. Can you help me start that up? And I always have to say, well, it's not quite my wheelhouse. I don't think I'd be much help to you in that. But it is something that's happening a lot more, perhaps since the pandemic, right? So how does it work? You have a van full of stuff. You drive to somebody's house and carry it in. I mean, tell me about how it works.
Yeah. When I started training people in their homes or in whether they're at their workplace or if they're in a residential apartment or in the fitness center in their neighborhood, it really sort of kind of came about when I remember coming back after studying for 2 years in grad school, and I had nothing to my name except just a pickup truck that was paid off that I drove all through college. And I was training I think I told you my background was, I was master trainer at Lifetime, to name a few, LA Fitness, like the big, well-known corporate big box gyms. And I would often get asked, hey, Benji, I'm just, the objections or the limitations of trying to meet me at the gym was becoming just very much an obstacle, especially for 30, 40-year-old busy mom or working professional who just doesn't have time. And so they're like, can you just come to my home? And so I remember I was like, sure, I'll make it happen. So I had just accumulated a lot of this personal fitness equipment. Everything was portable. So TRX straps, barbells, free weights, yoga mat. And you can do a lot with very minimal equipment. I think people kind of get in their head thinking, I need all these things to get a workout in. And sometimes limiting yourself to just doing a workout with very minimal weight, you can actually get one of the best workouts. And so our sessions are 45 minutes long, so it makes it super easy for someone to fit exercise into their busy lives. And so I was just training people in their driveways, in their garage, and it eventually became a thing. Word of mouth, everything was kind of, my reputation of me coming to people's homes became very much a big thing. So I ended up wrapping my truck. I don't recommend doing that. It was pretty expensive, but I eventually downsized to a mid-sized cargo van because, gas prices were skyrocketing, and it was driving a pickup truck probably wasn't the most viable option. I have a mobile business vehicle that I go to and basically bring the gym to people's homes. Creating that experience helps save people time, so there's no traveling required, and it allows more of a private, fully customized experience. So obviously with in-home training, there is some differences, right? You do have to be more adapted to your environment. You're not going to have access to a Smith machine or a leg press machine. So you do have to kind of get outside your box, but it can definitely be beneficial for someone who does not like the whole gym setting, crowdedness, waiting on a machine. It could just eat up on people's time. And so that's really what you're giving people, is allowing them to get results with less time. In a nutshell, that's kind of how it came about. Eventually, I started hiring trainers because it's hard to be everywhere and serve everybody if you're going to different communities and
I wanted to ask you about that, because Houston is such a sprawling area,
right
there where you are. Do you have to limit your territory, or do you have different employees in different parts of the Houston metro area, or how does that work?
Yeah, so initially I just kind of started out in my own area where I was living. I live in Sugarland, which is the suburbs of Houston.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 30 minutes southwest of Houston. So that's where I lived, and that's where I started to kind of build up my clientele. Eventually, I kind of got a big map, and I started to kind of create routes of where people were coming from. So I would say I was kind of sticking within 10 to 15 miles of a radius around that location. And then eventually I started to kind of look at more of the affluent suburban areas, and started to kind of tap into those communities with different marketing strategies that we were doing. Postcards is good for homeowners, networking with realtors. And then once I started to kind of build up more clients in those areas is when we started bringing on trainers under us. Now, our trainers are independent contractors. They're not employees of ours. So they do have the freedom to be able to service their own clients, but they do represent us when they're going out to the clients that they're assigned to. And so we try to stick to a certain areas that we target. We don't cover all of Houston. It would be tough, and it would probably take us almost an hour to get to each client. So we have to be kind of a little bit more strategic. So we kind of stick to more of the West Houston area.
Okay.
And, we cover other areas in Katy, Fulshire, which is another big community.
So how many clients do you have, and how many trainers do you have?
So right now we have about close to 50 clients, and we have 5 trainers, not including me.
And what's the goal for clients and trainers?
So the goal is to make each trainer as busy as they want to be. We have two out of the 5 trainers we have are almost at full capacity. I mean, they're pretty much almost filled. They basically just tell us the hours that they are available, and we fill their schedule with clients. If they are content and just being a part-time trainer, that's totally fine too. There obviously are ways to grow, and we have big goals in our business to continue to reach our quota and where we want to go. And so if we see that there's an opportunity to invest in a trainer, we may even have them start helping us with networking and marketing and advertising for our business.
What are the goals for the business? How big do you want this to get?
That's a good question. I would love to just get to a point where, because I've actually been trying to sort of offload some of my clients to our trainers so that I could have a little bit more time. And I think tapping into this market makes more sense given the stage in life that I'm going to be in as a new father and with a little one. So when I was starting out, I was working 60 hours a week, growing my business, training clients from early in the morning to coming home late at night. And you just can't keep that. It's just not sustainable as a trainer. I think trainers get really fizzled out. And another thing that I learned with the 50 plus adults is that they don't want to train in late in the evening. They want to get their they want to get their session and their workouts in when they can early in the day, so they can go to work or do whatever they want. So that actually makes more sense for me if I can be training a handful of clients that I really love working with in the mornings, have the rest of the afternoon, just kind of oversee the business, see how things are running, managing the rest of the trainers, networking. That's kind of the goal for me personally. And I guess from a business standpoint, right now, because we just started to kind of introduce Agestrong Fitness, we have a few clients, obviously, that are specifically Agestrong clients, probably double the number of clients that we have, and to eventually to where, I don't know, sky's the limit. We may end up having maybe a small boutique style studio and maybe do small group classes for that community. Or
Hey, are you a fitness professional trying to grow your business with people over 50? If you are, then you need to know how to communicate with them, how to market to them, and how to get them to trust you with their fitness, well-being, and money. We're talking about millions of people who are a little older than the typical market that the fitness industry usually pursues. They have more money, more time, and better motivation to make the best long-term fitness consumers you'll find anywhere. If you're not focusing on them, you should be. Prime Fit Content is the only content marketing company designed specifically to help you engage people in this group and to help you distinguish yourself from competitors in your community. It's effective, affordable, and super easy to use. Check it out at primefitcontent.com. That's prime, like prime of your life, fitcontent.com. Back to the show. Sky's the limit with this market. It really is. Tell us, and I'm asking, I guess, for those folks out there who might be thinking about the same thing, but also because it's an important part of your story, what have been the one or two big challenges that you've had in training people over 50 in their homes, either doing it or planning the routes or what have you, or in marketing it and getting people behind you? I really like what you said about engaging realtors. That's very smart. A lot of gym owners do all of their marketing online, and it's really smart to go out into the real world like you've been doing. So tell us, I'm just curious what a couple of challenges have been for you.
I think just to rattle off a few challenges, and then obviously I'll kind of touch on some of the marketing strategies that can work, is the challenge, I think, is equipment, is that oftentimes because they're not in a gym, trying to convince someone that they don't necessarily need to go to the gym to get a workout in, or, you know, having strategies in place to make them feel like they can just use their own body weight or use resistant bands, free weights, or even household items that they have lying around the house to allow them to stay moving is one space. You know, you're dealing with, not every home has the full setup of a workout. So adapting your workouts to whatever space that your clients may have or may not have can be huge. I mean, now I think oftentimes you walk into a home now and most people usually have like a home gym. You know, I think after COVID, that was probably one of the benefits that came out of it, was people were buying fitness equipment left and right and then thinking they were going to use it and then ended up just collecting dust. And then I think the mindset shift is another challenge, because I think 50 plus adults, they sort of believe that they can't make real progress. It's not about losing weight. Yes, if they lose weight, that's always a bonus, but overcoming their mental barriers is a huge part of coaching. You have to have a lot of patience, understanding, which I think takes a lot out of a trainer. And this is something that you just don't see. And, you know, and nothing against gyms, but I just think there's certain expertise and experiences that come with working with 50 plus adults. So I think that that's probably one of the main challenges, is the mindset shift. What is the outcome? What is the goal here?
I think part of the problem, I'm in this demographic. I'm 61. And so I think I can relate to a lot of the people you might be thinking about, because they're my peers. And when we were growing up, the only reason anybody went to the gym was a boy who wanted big muscles. You know, it was mostly guys doing it. And it was just, who wants muscles? I don't want muscles. It's kind of weird. It wasn't a part of life yet. It wasn't a part of our awareness, about exercise and fitness. And so I think a lot of people associated with being young and with being kind of a weird little hobby to get big muscles back then. And maybe now it's been really sexualized, that being fit means having a sexy body. And I don't know. I don't think we've done a really good job telling people that being strong and having some endurance and some agility will, as you were saying, let them live the life they want to live for a longer time. Doesn't have anything to do with six-pack abs or how sexy you are at the beach. It has to do with quality of life. So that's my challenge as a communicator in all of this, right?
Yeah. That you definitely hit the nail right on the head. That's so true. I remember growing up in your 20s, that was the thing, was going to the gym. That it was sort of more of like a hangout spot, Now it's becoming more of like gym culture. People like going to the gyms because of the vibe, the experience, but it's not going to really, I don't think it's really going to jive well with someone in their 50s who, it can really kind of affect their mindset as to what they want.
I think a gym can be really a positive setting for people in this demographic if it gives them a place where they're held accountable. They've got friends, they've got peers, they've got, or maybe a trainer or a person who leads their small group training, something like that, who will notice if they don't show up, or who will challenge them and say, come on, Ed, you can do better than that. Because that's important for everybody, let alone for people who are a little bit older and maybe just deconditioned. So I think a gym can be really great, but not every gym and not for everybody. I think it's wonderful what you're doing. My mother died about 1.5 years ago. She was 87. She lived alone the last few years because her husband died about 5 years before she did. So she had about 5 years there where she was in this big house by herself. And by then she had begun to have some issues where her mobility was limited and she had no endurance and that kind of thing. And I tried to find someone in her little town in Tennessee to do what you're doing. And there wasn't anyone. She couldn't go to the gym. She couldn't, go, but she would have been open-minded had I been able to find someone like you. So,
well, I'm definitely sorry to hear that. It only just makes me, I guess, just appreciative of the fact that what we're doing, just having a deeper connection with clients and just helping them create long-term trust and consistency. Like you said, accountability is having someone come to their homes. I mean, what's more, accountable?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great. Tell us maybe 1 or 2 examples of a success that you had where you thought, yeah, this is the right thing to do. This is going to work. Or a challenge that you overcame and you thought, yeah, that I can really learn a lot from this.
It's hard to kind of pinpoint a specific success story, but I would say I have seen clients regain strength, improve balance, build confidence. I think one client, if I was to, that one that stands out, he was actually my oldest client I've ever trained, and he was 92 going on 93. And he had a little scooter that he would get that he rode around in. He had a lot neurological issues going on, so it was affecting his ability to move. And he just kind of had this desperation in his eyes and just telling me that he's just tired of being a couch potato. Those were his words. And he just felt like he just didn't want to waste away. He wanted to do, he wasn't looking for a miracle, but he just wanted to, he had very limited mobility.
Mm-hmm.
And after working with him, and I mean, there was things that he was doing that he never would have imagined. Being able to do a pull-up with using TRX straps. Now he moves with ease and he's able to enjoy activities that he once struggling with. So, I mean, just talking about it really, it just kind of reminds me of the things that we do impact people's lives in such a way that, and that's what it's all about. It's not, I mean, yeah, it's always nice to have a business to serve people, but it's also, just people coming to you and just telling you how much that you've impacted in their lives and how much they appreciate it. It's just a great thing. I would just say to any trainer that's trying to figure out where to start, or, just focus in your passion for wanting to help people, and just know that progress, it can be slower at times, but the results are life-changing.
That's beautiful. I mentioned you're networking with realtors, and you mentioned before we started recording that that you recently spoke at a Chamber of Commerce or something. What was that about? It this getting out there and sharing the word in real life, super important. Tell us about that.
Well, I've done a couple of presentations so far. Beginning of this year, January was Better Health Month, And so I'm very proud I was a member of a business networking group in our area. And so I was a featured speaker. So I did a 10-minute presentation. It was all about healthy, like functional movements for healthy aging. I also spoke about nutrition and some of the 3 common concerns to another senior group at a non-profit. We do group classes for them. So once a month, I'll go in and talk about a different topic. But yeah, it was really great. I touched on quality versus quantity. And I think that spoke to a lot of people. It's like kind of asking the question is, if you were given the choice between you were guaranteed to live 5 to 10 years with like no chronic issues, you were able to live vibrantly versus, living 20 to 30 years. But those years were filled with all these issues that can happen, getting to that disability threshold. Which would you choose, quality versus quantity? And then kind of touching on, well, the good news is that you don't have to choose, because quality and quantity equal functional longevity. And so I think that kind of spoke to a lot of people. And I think that just going back to that mindset shift is that a lot of people just don't think no one's really, connected to them in that way.
Yeah, that's true. I think you're right. That's like I said, that's our challenge in getting the word out there to the market. Now, you've got a free ebook people can get. I want you to tell people about that, and I want you to tell people if they want to get a hold of you or learn more about you, where can they go online to do that?
Yeah, so we have a free ebook, Ageless Fitness. It's packed with strategies on how to make the next 50 years better. So a lot of great tips in that book that I love to share with everybody. We're also trying to continue to grow our private Facebook group, the A-Team, which is a free group where people can connect and get more free resources to us. You can visit our website. Right now, it's currently Benefitnessnow.com, or you can find us on Facebook, Instagram. And then, just a special offer to all your podcast listeners. Anyone that mentions optimal aging, they get a free consult and a mobility assessment.
Well, that's a good incentive right there. Thank you, Benji. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you coming on to tell the folks about this really important work. And I want to say congratulations again to you and Claudia on the
thank you.
Impending arrival. That's wonderful news.
Yes, we're very excited. And just praying for a healthy pregnancy, and just that's all we can ask for.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, thanks again, and we'll talk soon. Thank you for listening to the Optimal Aging Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Croft of Prime Fit Content. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll subscribe, review, and tell a friend. All of that helps me grow my audience. I hope you'll share any comments you have with me, including suggestions about people I should interview and topics I should cover. You can learn more about my newsletter and content business at primefitcontent.com, and write me at jay at primefitcontent.com. And I'm on all the social channels. Again, thanks for listening. Join me next time.